In this video, we will have an epic prompt battle between Runway Frames and other state-of-the-art AI image generators to see which model is a true slayer. Let's get started. In the prompt battle, I will evaluate 13 prompts across 8 AI image generators, assigning scores ranging from 1 to 3 to each model's output for the categories of prompt understanding, photorealism, and accuracy of details. I picked the models from Image Arena Leadership Board and other well-known state-of-the-art models from the industry. As you know, in the prompt battle, no rerolls allowed. I gave 1 point to the output if it is weak, meaning that there is room for improvement, 2 points for moderate or satisfactory results, and 3 points for strong results which exists in the corresponding parameter. I picked a variety of prompts. Some prompts include challenges for natural language understanding, unorthodox or complex semantics, and some focusing on depiction of hands, anatomical accuracy, holding objects, and some focusing on crowded scenes with distant faces. Okay, the first challenge is cinematic photo of 2 women having a picnic in nature. This prompt includes 2 characters and complex definitions for both of the characters. For example, first woman is holding a book in one hand and she has completely full wine glass in the other hand. I emphasize completely full wine glass because this is something all AI image generators struggle. It's so difficult to create a wine glass completely full. You will realize that there is also complexity with what characters are wearing. One woman is wearing a dress with checkered texture, the other woman has a brown astronaut suit with purple polka dot texture. Starting with the prompt understanding, among all these models, Runway Frames and Ideogram 2.0 were the ones who surprised me the most, because they managed to deliver what we asked for. We have a woman with checkered dress, book at the one hand, wine glass in the other one. Completely full part didn't work, but you will realize that in any of the models, completely full part didn't work. The checkered texture, brown astronaut suit with polka dot texture, they are all here. Same by Ideogram. Okay, there is no astronaut helmet here maybe, but it's not such a big deal. Ideogram did well for this challenge in terms of prompt understanding. The other models did mostly satisfactory results in terms of prompt understanding. Mostly they gave the wine glass to other woman. I gave 1 point for prompt understanding to Mystic 2.5 and to Luma Photon because in the Mystic version, the astronaut suit doesn't really look like an astronaut suit. It looks like a regular dress. And Luma Photon didn't really fully understand this whole holding wine glass and book thing. It's not here. So they were the ones who did worse in terms of prompt understanding. When it comes to photorealism, I gave the highest scores to Google Imagen 3, Mystic 2.5, Flux 1.1 Pro, and Ideogram 2.0. I think these models did fantastic in terms of photorealism. Maybe for Flux output, we can say there is a slight feeling of stock photo-like image. When it comes to accuracy of details, I'm looking at many things. How person is holding the wine glass, for example, how they are holding the book, are fingers accurate, the position of body and anatomy and details like that. Among all models, I think the Google Imagen 3's anatomy of hand, fingers, then hand holding the wine glass and the book, they all look quite accurate. Rest of the all models struggled with holding the wine glass accurately. So we have 2 fingers here. Here wine glass is fine, but the holding the book part is a little off. So book doesn't really look like a book here. It looks something like a rolled magazine. So number of fingers for Recraft is off. For Ideogram, there is a little bit of morphing here. Very slight. That's why I gave them 2 as a satisfactory result. Same for Runway Frames. You have a massive morphing here with the hand holding the wine glass. And here we have a strange looking hand again. Next challenge is photo of a Ferrari car with 14 wheels. Let's look at the results here. When it comes to prompt understanding, I gave satisfactory result, the point of 2, to all models, which managed to bring more than 4 wheels. Only for Flux 1.1 Pro, I gave 3, the maximum result, because that was the model came closest to 14 wheels. It actually gave us 12 wheels. That's why, even though it's not perfect, I gave Flux 1.1 Pro a higher score. And lowest score for Magnific Mystic 2.5 because it just gave us a regular 4-wheel Ferrari. So when it comes to photorealism, things change, of course, because then Mystic 2.5 does a pretty good job alongside Google Imagen 3, Flux 1.1 Pro, Recraft, and Ideogram did also fantastic. For photorealism, I gave Luma Photon the worst result because It really looks like an AI-generated image. The sea and the car looks a little bit like 3D illustration. So, I mean, you can see the difference here, for example, between Luma and Recraft. For accuracy of details, I was observing position of mirrors, the position of wheels. So all of the models actually did quite satisfactory in terms of accuracy of details. The position of mirrors, everything looks correct. Except Ideogram here, there is a bit of morphing between the wheels. The tires kind of touch each other. So that's the only issue, but rest looks quite good. So next challenge is about a jellyfish, which is resting on the black sandy beach. The cool thing about this challenge is you expect a natural position, a natural texture of a jellyfish is resting on the sand, not floating like it's swimming on the water. So this is the challenging part because many of the AI image generators know how jellyfish look like, but their training data is mostly based on jellyfish on the ocean. So that's why it's a nice challenge. When it comes to prompt understanding, I gave highest score to all models because I think they all did a good job in terms of prompt understanding. They gave us what we asked for. For photorealism though, there are some outliers here who did much better than the others. Runway Frames, Google Imagen V3, Mystic 2.5, Luma Photon, Ideogram, and Midjourney gave us really realistic looking results. I think among all these 8 results, they are the most photorealistic looking ones. The Flux output is not bad, but I think texture of the jellyfish looks a little off. It looks like a 3D illustration. The same issue with Recraft. For me, this looks like a little bit artsy and it looks like a 3D illustration. It doesn't really look hyper realistic for me here. So that's why I dropped their scores a little bit. So when it comes to accuracy of details, I'm looking at the position of jellyfish on the sand, the position of tentacles. I'm looking for a natural resting position. In terms of this, I think all models did a satisfactory job. I particularly like the Luma Photon version because it looks highly realistic in terms of the texture and how the jellyfish is resting on the sand. The Recraft version looks a little bit like the photo would have taken inside the water in the ocean. That's why I dropped the score there a little bit for Recraft. Next challenge is photo of a man writing prompt battle on a classroom blackboard. In terms of prompt understanding, I think all models did a fantastic job. They all gave us what we asked for, except Luma Photon, because it just gave us some mathematical formulas on the board. The prompt battle text is not here. That's why I dropped Luma's score. In terms of photorealism, I think all models gave us a very realistic looking result. Yes, we can argue that maybe some models look a little bit like stock photo-like. So not all of them looks lifelike maybe. But it would be unfair to drop some scores for these results. When it comes to accuracy of details, here I'm looking how hand is holding the chalk, the writing position, runway frames. We have a bit of issue here with the T letters. Let's say it's minor. Here the chalk looks like a pen. So that's why I thought this is a satisfactory result. Google Imagen V3 looks perfect. You have even a chalk visible here, the position of hands, and everything looks perfect for me. So for Mystic result, I can't see the chalk, but I think it's a natural writing position. Even though probably person wouldn't write backwards, I will still accept it as it is and don't overcomplicate it. So the Flux output is, you have a chalk here, but there's also a bit of like a pen-looking object. If we want to be perfectionist, we can drop some scores here. I think Recraft struggled a little bit with the anatomy of hand here. Same problem with Ideogram. I think biggest failure here is Midjourney. This is like a strange writing position with a strange looking long pen. It's not even a chalk. And same here with Luma. The person is writing to Blackboard with a pen. And there is a second pen in the other hand. Due to these reasons, I gave them the lowest scores in terms of accuracy of details. Next prompt is photo of a colossal shark underwater with a crocodile's head and a dragon wings. You have a shark body, a crocodile head, and dragon wings. Difficult prompt for models. In terms of prompt understanding, Imagen V3 and Mystic did a fantastic job together with Ideogram. So it understood the shark body, the dragon wing, the crocodile head. Same here. So I gave high score for Ideogram, even though image looks like something morphed. It looks weird. Still, it managed to understand the shark body, the crocodile head, and the dragon wing. I, of course, dropped score of Ideogram for accuracy of details. So you will see that I gave the lowest score to this, but I gave still high score for prompt understanding because it understood what we asked for, just couldn't exactly deliver. Midjourney output didn't really understand what we asked for. It just gave us a dragon in the water. For Recraft, we don't have dragon wing. For Luma, we don't have the fish body. When it comes to photorealism, I think Frames output together with Mystic and Flux looks really good. But things get really strange. When you go to the accuracy of details, you will see that Flux output just looks strange. Even the crocodile head doesn't look exactly like a crocodile head. And as I mentioned, same problem with Ideogram. The Imagen 3 output is not the most realistic one. Next challenge is photo of a witch flies through a dark forest on her broomstick. I like this one because it's definitely an accuracy of details killer type of prompt. The model needs to do the witch right, the broomstick needs to be rendered correctly, the hands and overall position of the witch needs to be right. In terms of prompt understanding, I gave high score to all of the models. I think all models gave us what we asked for. In terms of photorealism, Runway output struggled a little bit. It looks like a stock image. I'm missing some realism here, and same with the Imagen 3. So you definitely have a realistic looking forest, but which looks like 3D illustration a little bit, not the best result. So if you compare these first two to Mystic and Flux outputs, you will realize that these results look much more realistic. So that's why I gave highest scores to Mystic and Flux in terms of photorealism. Luma Photon, this just looks like a cartoon. Recraft, it's difficult to say. I mean, it looks realistic, but it's just a silhouette. The Ideogram output doesn't really look realistic to me. And Midjourney output, it's somewhere in between. So if you compare this to Flux output, you will realize that Flux output looks much more realistic. Accuracy of details. So here Runway struggled a little bit because I'm missing one arm and one leg. I gave high score for accuracy of details to Imagen 3. You have two hands, you have two legs, and the position and the broomstick looks correct. Mystic and Flux had a little bit of issues with one missing arm here, another missing arm here. You can say maybe there is a slight subtle arm that we can accept maybe Flux result. Luma output is satisfactory. The Recraft silhouette is missing an arm and a leg. Ideogram output looks satisfactory, and Midjourney broomstick is just in the wrong position. So that's why I dropped some scores here. Next challenge is high-angle photo, full body shot of a man carrying a horse on his shoulders in a busy city street. This prompt has a lot going on. You have a camera angle, you have a full body shot. A man carrying a horse alone is a difficult semantics. In terms of prompt understanding, Luma Photon did the best. It gave us a high-angle photo, it gave us a full body shot, and man is carrying a horse. Only problem is the horse looks like morphed, doesn't really look clear and clean, but he still accepted. Others did all satisfactory job here, except I gave Mystic 1 because it didn't even try to deliver us what we asked for. In terms of photorealism, I think most of the models did a good job. They all gave us realistic looking results. However, when we go to the accuracy of details, things get quite complex. So Runway Frames, basically the whole position of man doesn't even hold the horse. Horse is just kinda flies there. The position of arms, the position of horse is off. Imagen 3 accuracy of details looks good because, I mean, look at this. It even rendered the back legs. It completely makes sense how it rendered the whole scene. I'm very happy with the accuracy of details here. Flux output and Photon output, they didn't do the best job here. It's just morphed and man became a horse. So Ideogram output, if you look at the faces here, like you can see the skin color and faces here, morphing is really quite a lot. Midjourney output didn't do so horrible here. It did a quite okay job. Next challenge is a cinematic close-up shot of a woman with yellow raincoat holding an umbrella and a cigarette. We are expecting person to hold both an umbrella and a cigarette. In terms of prompt understanding, Runway Frames, Luma Photon, and Ideogram did a good job here. The person holding both an umbrella and a cigarette is rendered here. In the rest of the images, unfortunately, cigarette is always on the lips, and Magnific didn't even render cigarette, so that's why it is a lower score here. In terms of photorealism, I think they all did satisfactory job. with Runway Frames, Imagen V3, Mystic, Recraft, and Ideogram excelling at photorealism, especially Ideogram output. I mean, look at this, looks really realistic. Really happy with the result here. When it comes to accuracy of details, of course, a massacre starts. Ideogram, I think, did the best job here. Cigarette, the fingers, and we can't see the hand holding the umbrella, but the whole composition looks quite complete. And Runway Frames struggled quite a lot here. You have the position of cigarette, and this fire looks off. Same problem with Flux. The cigarette's position on the mouth is wrong. The Recraft output, it looks like umbrella is becoming a cigarette here. And same with Luma. Definitely position of fingers and cigarette is off here. Same problem with Midjourney. Cigarette looks like coming out from the finger. The accuracy of details is quite off, except Ideogram did a fantastic job. Next challenge is one of my all-time favorites, the Volleyball game. You know how much I love this prompt to test the AI image generators with this prompt. So we have a lot going on here. We have an intense volleyball game. We have a players, midair, dramatic leaps. We have motion blur, an open arena, and an audience. And we want to see the emphasis of speed. I was particularly interested with Ideogram's result here because additional to everything, it also gave us that strong emphasis for motion blur and speed. This was part of my prompt that I wanted to see the motion blur and emphasis on speed. The other outputs gave us what we asked for, but I think Ideogram particularly excelled in prompt understanding in this challenge. When it comes to photorealism, I'm very happy with the frames, Imagen V3, Mystic, Flux, Recraft, Midjourney. They all did a fantastic job. In terms of accuracy of details, the lowest scores I gave was Mystic 2.5, Flux, and Luma, because first of all, Mystic and Flux didn't even put a volleyball net. We are not expecting from these models to put like different jerseys to different teams and some more details, but at least I'm expecting a volleyball net here. So that's why I lowered the scores of models which didn't include a volleyball net. I think rest did a satisfactory job here. Of course, if you go into the details, you will realize many issues with hands. You have two volleyballs here for Imagen V3. If you go into details of Luma, you can see some missing legs, missing heads. In the next challenge, we have a low angle shot of a high-speed car chase. So we have motion blur, we have a camera angle, and in my prompt, I also mentioned the drivers. Drivers gripping the wheel with intense focus and determination, which is a challenging thing to do because it needs to render the both low angle and driver's face. In terms of prompt understanding, I was impressed with the frames result. It's not like textbook low angle shot, but I can say it's very acceptable. You have also driver's face, exactly how we asked for. Very good prompt understanding. The Imagen V3 output gave us the low angle shot and it gave us the driver's faces. Of course, the accuracy of details is off. As you can see, we have 3 wheels and it's just a strange image. But prompt understanding is here because other results were not able to give us driver's face and low angle all together. We have low angle shots, but no drivers. I was also happy with the Ideogram result because it also gave us a low angle shot, which is impressive. I gave frames, Imagen V3, and Ideogram high scores for prompt understanding. In terms of photorealism, most of them did an okay job, satisfactory. I think some outputs look much more realistic than others. Obviously, frames output, Mystic output, Flux, Recraft, and Ideogram output, as well as Midjourney, they all look really realistic, so I'm happy with that. When it comes to accuracy of details, I think Imagen V3 did the worst here and I gave the lowest score because of the 3 wheels and just whole strange details in the image. And while evaluating this, I'm also looking at position of mirror, the position of car chase, because I'm expecting cars not to look at each other but chase each other. So position of cars is really important. Therefore, you will see Flux is a little bit struggling here because this doesn't really look like a car chase, but it looks more like they are just crossing each other. Same with Midjourney result. Recraft output, I think, did a good job here. The accuracy of details look good, except this car doesn't have a mirror here. So Mystic output, accuracy of details look really good. The mirrors, the car, can't see the driver really, but it really looks like a car chase scene that cars are just chasing each other. One thing I realize in some of the outputs, you will see that cars just copy pasted. It's like you have two cars, same brand, same color. So you have same situation here. Here we have almost like same model, similar, same model again. Here I can see that Runway is just really making a difference because you have kind of like a dark blue car here and you have a red car here. The next challenge is an art gallery challenge. And we have a cinematic scene, an art gallery showcasing the Claude Monet paintings. We have a visitors, and we particularly ask detailed facial features of the visitors. So we want to see their faces are rendered. In terms of prompt understanding, we don't have so many results where you have paintings of Monet, you have multiple visitors, and their faces are rendered. This is a rare thing. So that's why Flux got the highest score of 3, because it gave us everything we asked for. You have paintings looking similar to style of Monet. You have multiple visitors and faces rendered. Of course, if you go into the details, you will realize some issues here and there, but at least prompt understanding is there. Midjourney output, the paintings doesn't really look like Monet style, so we cannot really work with this. And rest of the images, the paintings look quite good. They really remind me the Monet style. Especially Runway Frames output is really impressive. It really looks like Claude Monet's painting style. Okay, in terms of photorealism, I gave all of them the highest score because they really all look realistic. In terms of accuracy of details, I had a bit of disappointment with Imagen 3 here because it took this subject in the painting and just copy-pasted everywhere. They all look like same person except this man here. So details kind of failed there, and with Flux output, you can realize some issues too. Runway Frames output looks pretty good in terms of accuracy of details. I can't really find any error. You have anyways only one visitor. Very good job here. The Ideogram output rendered some faces, but they are really morphed. And the other outputs, they just prefer to basically not show the faces of the visitors. That's why in terms of accuracy of details, I put Runway, Mystic, Flux, and Recraft to the top, and rest is just satisfactory. Next challenge is a very obvious one. You have a depiction of hands challenge. We have cinematic close-up photo of ultra-realistic depiction of woman's hands, crystal clear, crisp, ultra-fine details. In terms of prompt understanding, they all managed to give us photo of ultra-realistic hands, so I'm happy with that. In terms of photorealism, you will realize that some of the outputs, especially Imagen 3 output, looks like a 3D render. We can say it failed. Ideogram output also looks like a little bit like a statue or like a 3D render. Doesn't really look realistic. Especially, I mean, if you compare output from Mystic, Frames, Recraft, they all look super realistic. So that's why they got the highest scores. In terms of accuracy of details, then massacre starts because as far as I can tell, only Frames managed to render all fingers and hands perfectly. In the rest of the images, you will see many problems. Here you have problem with fingers. Here there is like fingers look super strange. The Flux output gave us some water that we didn't ask for. That's why I gave 2 for prompt understanding. For Flux, we didn't ask for this water. And you have 7 fingers. Here you have 5 fingers, but the length of finger doesn't really look natural. Especially this small finger here, you can realize that doesn't really look realistic. Recraft output, I think details look accurate here. Fingers look accurate. Maybe some slight issue here. Ideogram output, you can see this is failed. And Midjourney output, 2 hands morphed into each other and you have 7 fingers. I think Frames did quite good here. So next challenge is a photorealism challenge. We have a portrait photo of a tribal female warrior. She needs to be surrounded by jungle. She needs to have face paint and feathers. And you have a natural light. Just for the record, for this particular challenge, I use Mystic 2.5 Super Real model. And for Flux 1.1 Pro, I use RAW mode, which are designed particularly for photorealism. Starting with the prompt understanding, all models gave us what we asked for. We have a close-up portrait photo. We have a warrior with face paintings and a feather. Maybe Mystic feathers doesn't really look super clear, but you can realize that here there's some feather. small one. So I think all models did a good job here and we got what we wanted. Of course, when it comes to photorealism, we have some outliers here. Runway Frames, Mystic output, Recraft output. From my perspective, looks absolutely stunning. They really look photorealistic. The Flux output got little bit airbrush effects. Midjourney output is same. Ideogram output really looks like taking from a video game. It doesn't really look realistic. It looks like 3D illustration. Same with Imagen 3, that you will realize it looks like it's been taken from a video game. And Photon output, I think, is also very good, but not as good as Frames and Mystic. You can see the difference between Photon and Recraft here. And in terms of accuracy of details, I gave all models 3 because that wasn't any deal breaker in terms of accuracy of details. Now you are probably wondering the final scores. I will show you all scores according to the categories. So final ranking for prompt understanding. We have a really interesting surprise here because Ideogram did a fantastic job in terms of prompt understanding. It's a really strong model and it excels in understanding complex prompt, difficult scenery. It does really well. Runway Frames comes close, but not as good as Ideogram's prompt understanding. You have Imagen 3 at the 3rd place, Flux comes 4th, Luma Photon 5th, Recraft 6th, Mystic 7th, and at the moment Midjourney version 6.1 has the worst prompt understanding. It's been some time that Midjourney team released a new model. You can be considered as quite outdated model at this point, and I know they are working on version 7 at the moment. Hopefully it will be released in February, so then we can also compare Midjourney more head-to-head with these other models, which are doing really well at the moment. In terms of photorealism, we have Magnific Mystic 2.5 at top by far, the most realistic looking model, or let's say it defaults to photorealism very often. Runway Frames comes 2nd, and one disclaimer here. In the prompt challenges, I used Mystic 2.5 super real only once, but if I would use more often, probably score of Mystic would be even higher because they have this super real model, particularly focusing on realistic renders. Same with Flux. Flux is currently at the 3rd place, but if I would use Flux 1.1 Pro Raw mode, which is a realistic version of the base model, probably we would see Flux a little bit higher on the final ranking for photorealism, just for the record. And Luma Photon is unfortunately didn't do the best in terms of photorealism. Many times we saw this model was defaulting to 3D illustration or video game looking like art style. And biggest surprise here is definitely Imagen 3. It was defaulting to 3D illustration more often than we asked for. So that's probably something they need to work on. Next, we are looking at accuracy of details. Here, Google Imagen 3 did a really good job. I think the physics understanding of Imagen 3 is much superior than other models. We saw similar thing with Veo 2, the video model from Google, and in comparison to other Chinese models, it was already doing much better in terms of physics understanding. We have Magnific Mystic 2.5 in the 2nd place and Runway Frames comes in the 3rd place. The worst score comes from Midjourney at the moment. Okay, and if we look at the overall score, we have Ideogram, Magnific Mystic 2.5 and Runway Frames. They are on top of the leadership in terms of final ranking and overall total score. They collected the most points in my prompt battle. The Google Imagen 3 follows closely, but there are some issues in terms of photorealism. Flux is also a fantastic model, and at the moment, Luma Photon is the worst performing model. I think Runway Frames is a fantastic model overall. I'm also really impressed with its cinematic qualities. You can generate images with consistent style. So right now it's lacking the consistent characters feature. So workflow-wise, there are some missing features for Runway Frames. If you want me to have a deep dive video for Runway Frames, please let me know in the comments down below. Then I will prepare a very detailed tutorial for you. I was using Frames for a while, and one thing I realized that it's a little bit struggling with shot types, the camera angles. Even though prompt understanding overall is very good for Runway Frames, it's hit and miss with camera angles. So if your workflow really requires specific camera angles, or if you want to generate an AI film where you need specific shot types, Runway Frames has some struggles. And hopefully this video was truly helpful for you. Don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe for more in-depth tutorials. If you want to learn more about how to control camera in Runway, click here.